One down, three to go. Even though the first issue of the Mobius 30 Years Later story arc began pretty well, it was still a little boring at times. So let's see if the next issue will be any better. So let's check it out. This is Sonic Comic World, and here's my review of Sonic Universe issue number 6. Well, judging by the front cover, I say we are in for some real greatness. I mean, look at this. Doesn't this just scream epic? Like how King Sonic is the only character they show, symbolizing that this issue was going to be all about him. How he just sits on the throne like that, symbolizing that there is going to be a lot of suspense in this issue. How he waves to an off-screen audience, symbolizing that... Actually, never mind, this cover sucks ass. So the title for this part of the story is called Dark Siege, and it begins with Sonic and Sally heading back downstairs after putting the kids to bed, and Silver is down there waiting for them. Oh great, another scene of people talking. Yeah, I haven't seen that in this arc yet. So the conversation begins by Sonic and Sally telling Silver that even though there has been mostly peace in the past 5 years, the Dark Presence is still causing some trouble here and there. So aside from the Dark Presence trying to overthrow the King and Queen, things have been pretty peaceful. Yeah, that makes sense. But Silver is concerned because he reveals that something happened in this point of time that will end up destroying his time. Ugh, I hate time travel stories. They always make things so much more complicated. Can't Silver just live in the same time as Sonic and his friends? His future is already a piece of crap, so why even live there? It would certainly make things a lot easier and simpler. But I digress. It seems Sally is a little doubtful of Silver's explanation, and Silver thinks it's because of the way he attacked Sonic before. Oh, good job, Silver. You just had to bring that up, didn't you? But Sonic calms them both down, saying that trying to make the past and present sync perfectly is sometimes more trouble than it's worth. Sonic should know this, seeing as how he has time traveled himself before. Silver is curious on how Sonic managed to time travel before, but Sonic says he doesn't want to talk about it. Oh, believe me, Sonic. After all this shit you went through, I doubt anyone would want to talk about it again. Well, okay, he probably wasn't talking about that, but Silver is confident that the disaster that happened at this specific time probably has to do with the Dark Presence. Sally is not really convinced, but Sonic mentions Leenda and how when he took over, Leenda suddenly disappeared and left her family behind. And speaking of her family, we suddenly cut to outside Leenda's house where Laura Sue is having a little chat with Leenda's son, Rutan. I wonder who Rutan's father could be. Well, it looks like the tips of his dreadlocks are white. So could that mean that... Nah. So Laura Sue is not really happy with her cousin at the moment, as she's convinced that Rutan is hiding Leenda from her. But Rutan doesn't confirm this, which causes the pair of them to start arguing. But then suddenly Dimitri comes in to break up the fight. Oh, for crying out loud, this guy still isn't dead yet? You know, for a guy who has lived hundreds of years, you'd think he'd be tired of living by now, don't you think? I mean, he's nothing but a robotic head in a bubble now. How do you even call that living? Also, am I the only one that finds it a little put off that Dimitri used to be one of Knuckles' most hated enemies, and nowadays he's actually made peace with Knuckles, and even here in the future he acts as peacemaker? Kind of misleading when a guy who spent most of his life fighting against his own kind is now trying to say that it's wrong. I don't know, but I guess they just decided to make Dr. Finitivus Knuckles' main villain now instead of Dimitri. I guess it makes sense. I mean, when has there ever been a villain who was still intimidating even when he or she was just a head? Yeah, that's what I thought. So after Rutan tells his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather to piss off, give or take a few greats, Dimitri has a little talk with Laura Sue. It seems Laura Sue is a bit bummed out because she feels like she failed in her first mission on her own, but Dimitri gives her some comforting words of how even when the odds are stacked against her, she still manages to have the power to face those odds. What is up with Laura Sue's face here? Doesn't it look a little, weird? I mean, is she smirking? Is she sighing? Is she coughing? Did she just fart? What the hell is up with that facial expression? Oh well, never mind. Cut back to Castle Mobius, where Silver suggests that they should call upon the Freedom Fighters. Only to find out that the Freedom Fighters disbanded years ago because Sally convinced them to stand down after Shadow brought his so-called peace to the world. This makes Silver Oh my god, get this. This makes Silver wonder if it was actually Sally who was the traitor of the freedom fighters that he's been looking for. Oh, for the love of... You really got some nerve there, Silver. First you accuse Sonic of being the traitor, then later you think it's Rotor, and here you actually think it's Sally? Why would you even think that Sally would be the traitor? She was the fucking leader of the group, for crying out loud. I ask this now, is there any shred of evidence that Sally might actually be the traitor? I mean, come on, that's just stupid. There is no way in hell that Sally is the... Aw, crap. But anyway, going back to this traitor thing, if Silver is so intent on finding out who the traitor of the Freedom Fighters is, why doesn't he just ask Sonic and Sally right here? I mean, it's 30 years in the future. Surely the traitor would have revealed himself or herself by now, right? Silver can just easily ask them about it, they will tell him who it is, and Silver can go back in time to the point where the traitor was revealed and stop him or her. It's simple. But no, we still have to keep it a mystery for the time being. But, again, looking at what's happening now, oh, this does not look good. Anyway, continuing on, Silver asks if there is anyone else they could call for help. Sonic mentions the Prowlers and how they should be able to count on them if something goes wrong. And how are the Prowlers doing exactly? Well, not too good at the moment, as Tails opens up the door to their room only to be suddenly knocked out with some green gas. I've already made a farting joke in this review, so let's just continue on. But Myna, along with her 2 kids, manages to escape. So now would be a good idea to try and find some help, right? Wrong! Instead, Myna abandons her children on the sidewalk in the middle of the night and rushes back inside to try and save Tails. Lady, your husband was only knocked out, which means he's still okay. So your main focus now should be on the safety of your kids. For if you just go rushing back in there, you're only going to get yourself, and I rest my case, Mother of the Year or complete moron. Yeah, complete moron. So after the Prowlers get captured, we cut to outside the castle where we see Laura Sue making her way towards it, wondering if her father ever had a bad temper like she does now. Well, not to sound rude or anything, but... Duh! Oh, I love that part. Let me hear it again, slow motion. Oh, Patrick, you're so funny. But I mean, come on, seriously? She is just wondering this now? You don't know much about your father's past, do you, Laura Sue? But then suddenly, Laura Sue spots some Dark Presence soldiers making their way toward the castle as well. And rather than knock the living hell out of them, she decides to use some of Uncle Espio's training instead. Back inside the castle, we see, my God, are you guys still talking? Jesus, this is getting old. So Sally is still a little concerned about this end of the world thing, but don't worry, Sal. We all know it's complete bullshit. But anyway, before Silver can give any more information, an Echidna maid walks in to offer them any refreshments, but they both decline, with Sonic saying that he can't do chili dogs every hour at his age anymore. Why do I get the feeling that when Sonic finally dies, he's going to die on the crapper after eating too many chili dogs? But anyway, the maid suddenly notices Silver, and she commends him for his bravery and amazing powers. But it's all good, because the maid suddenly takes out a pistol and knocks out Silver as well. Thank you, Silver, you were entirely pointless. So after Sonic pins the maid to the wall, it is here we find out that the Echidna was a spy the whole time. What a shock. But here's a strange gimmick. It seems that she was spying on the royal family for about 2 years. Wow, she was working for King Sonic and Queen Sally for 2 years, and yet she never did anything to them? You know, for a terrorist group who wants to kill the king and queen, they don't do a really good job of doing it. I mean, they could have easily used this spy for anything. She could have just walked into the king and queen's bedroom in the middle of the night and easily killed them in their sleep. Boom! Leanda gets her revenge and they move on to the next part of the plan. Kind of a waste of 2 years of being a sleeper agent if you ask me. But anyway, after Sonic knocks out the Dark Presence spy as well, he quickly comes up with a plan. He tells Sally to take Sleeping Beauty here and the kids and lock themselves in the panic room while he will hold off the Dark Presence. But Sally does not approve of this plan, as she claims to have never been taken as a damsel in distress. I don't know, Sally. I mean, granted, you can take care of yourself just fine, but you have managed to get yourself captured sometimes in the past as well. But at least you're not as bad as some other princesses I know. So Sonic retaliates, saying that the Dark Presence are gunning for him, which should give Sally the chance of taking their kids to safety. Oh, I get it. So that giant rocket was actually aiming at Sonic the whole time, huh? And if it had exploded at Sonic, the blast radius would have caused absolutely no harm to Sally and the kids, even though they were standing right next to him. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But Sally still does not really approve of this idea, and soon the two start arguing. And it goes back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth.
Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back.
Whoa! Okay, that came totally out of nowhere, but I'll take it. And as Sonic goes running off to handle the Dark Presence, he says probably one of the most epic lines in the entire comic book series. Sonic the Hedgehog, winning arguments for married men the world over. I swear, that line is just plain awesome. Sonic the Hedgehog, you are an inspiration for married men everywhere. Chalk one up for men winning at arguments. Alright. Just you wait, women. We are gonna catch up to you sooner or later. And once we do, you're gonna be sorry. Well, anyway, after Sonic goes rushing off to take care of the Dark Presence, he realizes that Laura Sue has beaten him to it. But their victory is cut short as they soon notice that the security system in the castle has been turned against them. With nowhere else to go and the castle being in total lockdown, the duo has no choice but to escape the castle while they can. So as they smash through the window, Sonic says one of his classic lines, "Let's do it to it." But Laura Sue thinks the line is kinda corny, so instead Sonic tries "Hasta la vista, mista." Oh, I can just hear Schwarzenegger rolling over in his grave. But honestly though, why doesn't Sonic say, "Let's juice," or "It's juice time"? I mean, he used to say that line all the time back then. Why doesn't he say it anymore? Oh. Whoops. Never mind. Well, anyway, Laura Sue and Sonic suddenly come across Melody and Sky, who relays the information that their mom and dad were attacked by the Dark Presence, and that they tried to find help but they couldn't find anyone. This freaks out Laura Sue as she's worried on how they are going to take the castle back when the Dark Presence has it completely locked in and with no other help nearby. But Sonic tells everyone to shut the hell up as he tells Melody and Sky that he will make sure nothing happens to them, and he also tells Laura Sue to get a grip on herself. So Sonic suggests finding a safe place where they can fall back to, and Laura Sue suggests Argyle's place. Argyle is apparently Vector's son and a good friend of Laura Sue. Nice try, Laura Sue, but you're not fooling anybody. Also, am I the only one who would like to know who Argyle's mother is? I mean, we've seen Vector trying to make it with the ladies before, and yeah, he wasn't too good at it. So I'm just curious of which woman that Vector actually managed to fall in love with. So as the gang heads off, we cut to Castle Mobius, where Leanda is basking in the glory of her takeover of the castle. Huh. Would you look at that? I always thought Kane Max was a bit stoned. So the Dark Presence reports to Leanda that the prowess have been secured, all castle staff have been confined to their rooms, and the security system is now theirs. They also report that the Queen and the kids have locked themselves in the panic room, and the King and the Guardian managed to escape. But Leanda is not worried, for by the time that Sonic and Laura Sue come up with a plan to strike back, their mission will already be complete. And what is that mission, you might ask? Well, as Leanda continues to babble on things that are not important, we see them heading down to what I assume is the catacombs as they come across a strange room with an odd-looking capsule in it. Gee, I wonder where this is going. So after using a chaos siphon on the capsule, it suddenly opens up and Leanda bows down to welcome the person inside of it. And just who was inside the capsule all this time? Can't even see all of me. King Shadow is back. All hail the king, baby. Wait, no, not that king. Oh, never mind. So that was the second issue of the Mobius 30 Years Later story arc. Is it better than the last issue? Well, it's a little better, but it's still nothing really spectacular. At least there were a lot more things going on in this issue, though. It still had moments where it just had people talking, but at least there wasn't as much of it as last time, and there were a lot more exciting moments as well, mostly consisting of the Dark Presence and their plans to take over Castle Mobius. In fact, the whole issue is basically seeing the Dark Presence going through with their plan. Kidnapping the Prowlers, taking over the castle, freeing Shadow, the Dark Presence was really the only group that accomplished anything in this issue. In fact, why couldn't they make the front cover about them? It would certainly be a lot more interesting than Sonic sitting on the throne. He doesn't even sit on a throne in this issue anyway! But regardless, it was still a pretty good issue. The story began to get more interesting, it ended on another decent cliffhanger, and the drawings and the colors were as good as always. I also give this issue a 7 out of 10. Even though the story is a little bit more involving in this issue, it still falls a little short of being better than issue 5. But now, with the return of Shadow, things should start to get a lot more interesting, right? Well, one can only hope. So tune in next time when I review issue number 7 to find out. So until then, this has been Sonic Comic World. Thank you all for watching, and keep on Oh, wait. Maybe I shouldn't say that anymore because, well, you know. Okay, let's try this. This has been Sonic Comic World. Thank you all for watching, and hasta la vista, mister! Wow, that was lame.
Mm-hmm.